Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Thursday, January 4th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action at the cryptocurrency market, including the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market. We also take a look over there at the stock market as it gets set to open up here in the next 3 minutes. We'll, of course, take a peek over there at the US dollar currency index and metals, along with taking a look at any type of financial news or any type of crypto news as we get our day started and as the stock market is set to open. Bitcoin, crypto, able to hold the chaos after yesterday. We could see some pretty big recoveries happen over there on the right side of the screen. Most of the stuff just kind of stable, but you got a couple of them that have really popped back up. As for the stock market, as it gets set to open this morning, looks like we do have the Dow Jones Industrial Average up a little bit, about 55 points, while we do have the S&P down about 7.5 points and the NASDAQ down about 86. So it's been a rough start for the stock market ever since the year kicked off. Like we talked about at the end of last year, there was no real reason to do any type of tax loss harvesting at the end of last year, that people would be waiting, and institutions, whatever, waiting until 2024 to lock in those gains in order to be in long-term capital gains tax status, and then also to not have those taxes due until 2025. At least that's my theory. That was even my mindset heading into 2025. It's like, let's not do too much here at the end of 2023, but 2024 is kind of the time where to go ahead and do it. And we, of course, we have seen that here just in this week now, getting back started into the new year. Otherwise, though, sticking over here to crypto, of course, this week, it's anticipated that there's going to be the Bitcoin ETF. I think I saw some tweet. Let me see if I still have it up on the screen. I do not. There it is. Craig Salm, who is the chief legal officer, made a kind of vague tweet, and it says, just filling out some forms. So speculation, of course, arising, and why else would you tweet something like that unless you are in the final phases and stages of having an ETF approved over there for Grayscale. Of course, it's anticipated to be several of them approved all at once. They're thinking that we should be hearing on that at some point this week. Of course, everybody wants to speculate in their own way on what that is going to do for price action. We will let the market tell us, and we will find out together. It's a big event. It's been a while since we've had some kind of big event like this happen in crypto, especially one that we could see from a mile away. Typically, these things get priced in way ahead of time, so we'll see how Bitcoin reacts. If that does end up being the case, that there are several of them, one of them, 100 billion of them, we'll find out together. Otherwise, Bitcoin does hold after yesterday's liquidation sell-off that took place. Again, slamming right back down there for the altcoin market. It still continues to hold in here. XRP, guess what? It held it. It held that 54.5 level. Whoop, whoop. I did see this chart get taken and stolen a few times over there on Twitter. But, it is what it is. That's how life ends up going. But either way, perfect nailing happening in there, holding on top of 54.5 cents. Optimistic time. I saw some news article over there on CoinDesk. Where does it say? Expected Fed rate cut support bull case in Bitcoin, but there is a catch. Renewed rate cuts by the Fed have historically presaged recessions and triggered rotation of money out of risk assets. It kind of goes along with the lines of everything that we've been talking about when it comes to crypto, and really that, like in the newsletter, right? Crypto in 2024, explain your excitement to caution, right? Like we're staged and we talk about this stuff. We talk about CME futures. We talk about everything when it comes to Fed rate cuts and that cycling, and that, if we followed that, it looks like the first half of the year has potential, but in that second half of the year, it's really kind of a watch out kind of situation. But even in a circumstance like this follows along with that. Like, to get that deep into corrective territory, into corrective behavior, what do you have? Toxicity. Here's what was fun about this, right? So, like, I've told this story a million times on the YouTube channel, what it was actually like back in here when this was going on, and how toxic XRP was at that time. And like I didn't post this over here on Twitter, but it was definitely stolen and posted over there. And so I just went through the comments for fun because there's a lot of you guys in there who are like, "Hey man, you just straight up stole this thing." But I got to watch all the other comments that weren't like, "Hey, you stole this thing," and it was just constant pessimism, constant negativity. It's never going to happen. It won't happen. And those are the things that you look for before prices end up moving. So there's certainly a lot of negativity, and that was, of course, very similar to that. And you don't go on Twitter. I wonder what would happen if you went on Twitter and just like started posting moon charts right now. Like, I think we saw it. I think, it's going to end up getting a bunch of negativity, but that, that's kind of what you want. It's typically when everybody's on the same side of the trade, kind of like Bitcoin, everybody's on the same side, leverage longing, the peaks up in here. This is it. And this, of course, would give you enough time for something to happen. So, we'll be putting out way more XRP related content, and my focus is going to definitely be a whole lot more on XRP now that it does have completed corrective structures happening in here. We could dance around in here for a while. I saw people who were stealing this were also saying it's going to take off in just a couple of days according to this chart. No, even this does say you'd still be out until like February. So that's a month away. If you're going to steal it, make sure you get your dates right. Don't be doing it, a different way. I think that would be reasonable. That that doesn't say we're taking off today. It doesn't say we're taking off tomorrow. It just means you got back down into corrective territory. You hit the support level. You maintained it on the daily time frame. Now we just kind of probably got to waddle around in here and settle in here for a little bit. But otherwise, super exciting time. But just like the thing says, right? Rate cuts support a bull case, but renewed rate cuts by the Fed historically presaged a recession, right? Why is the Fed cutting rates? Why does the Fed begin cutting rates? Because there's a problem, right? Not because, hey, let's pump asset prices. It's because, oh, crud, things are about to hit the fan. Let's start cutting. That's usually what ends up happening, that monetary policy was too tight for too long and they've got to start loosening because things are deteriorating, not because things are getting stronger. So otherwise, time-wise, it gives us everything we're looking for. Anyway, all right, enough rambling. We hold in here for the altcoin market. That is great. Now, if you caught yesterday's video, of course, in the newsletter, I wrote in here, these are two levels. This is kind of the area to really be watching for to make sure there isn't going to be a second leg down to happen in there to really hit this zone. We're back in retracement levels. I showed you guys yesterday how people would treat that for day traders. Everybody wants to be a day trader. Nobody likes the reality of it, that, there's perceived potential losses, and that's what traders actually do. They end up taking it and saying, hey, I'm getting out at retraces. I understand that if I'm wrong, I'm going to lose something. But if I'm right, I'm going to get more. And that's how they'll end up treating it. So the big thing now is to watch how we react as we get back up into these retracement levels for this altcoin market, and to see if we're ready to just settle and go. My thoughts are, though, that we're going to settle. That's going to be my best guess, is that we're going to settle for a month. A month of settling. But of course, you got some of them that are going, right? But we're you already got Celestia up 21% today. You got Aptos up 18% today. But the market as a whole, it's still just settling. It's just kind of a rotation on where the money is actually flowing into initially. But I think probably we're going to settle here and digest this, because that's what we typically do after these liquidations. So after liquidations, things like this happen, then we settle. And this is just a reminder of what happens with sentiment, right? So we're just going to have like a normal talk. Hey, it's just you and me. We're chilling. You're at work. You should be working, but you're hanging out with me. Let's reflect on what it is like when liquidations do happen. We have the liquidation. It surprises the market. Prices don't immediately go back up and go back to the moon. And so what happens with sentiment? We chill, right? We chill out. And then the market becomes very pessimistic, right? So what would happen in an event like that, right? It's just this is theoretical, and I don't think we're going to do like this. I don't think we're going to, but we could just pretend what it would be like in that. Market liquidates. We settle. We don't go straight back into new highs. We get beyond the Bitcoin ETF. ETF gets approved, ETF gets denied, whatever it is. We get beyond it, and nothing drastically changes with price in a week or 2 weeks. What would happen with sentiment in the market? It would go way down, right? And so like, and I do remember this too. I remember when we had this liquidation, it was like, all right, that's it. But what happened? Enough time had to elapse for sentiment to get real ugly. And so that is typically what does come next. So if we don't shoot straight back up into highs, just kind of be prepared for that, right? They have gone from extreme pessimism. The herd in general went from extreme pessimism in here, right? 23K, 20K, 16K, 12K to extreme optimism, right? What happens if we settle? What happens if we settle for a little while? Pessimism, right? Until they get surprised and the market cap hits a 702 retracement at $1 trillion and they all become euphoric again and lights out. But I still think this is going to be our thing. And so even so in something like this, of course, we have no clue how long time could take on something. Even if this was the case, what if I waited for 54 cents? We got it. We held it. But if you want to use models and say, well, how long do models typically take? They typically take, just go like that, right? That pushes you out to February, right? And again, I want to make sure I'm very clear. I'm not going to predict time on this because I'm going to get time wrong. It's just how it always is. But the things for something like this to occur, what would have to be elements going on in the market? One, you got stock market in all-time high. You got Bitcoin rampaging to the upside. You would have Bitcoin cooling off, right? You'd have interest and yield chasing happening in other places in the market. I think we just have the elements present there. And then, of course, when we look at things like the altcoin market in general, right? You look at things like this. Are you primed? Are things churning up for things like that to happen, right? Let's see, Total 3 have enough data on it. Yeah, there you go. So you can see, right? It's like we're just getting turned up, right? So it's like, are you in the conditions for that for something like that to happen in the market where things could get YOLO crazy for a couple of months? You are, right? So I think we're aligned up. And I know everybody wants, and I say this all the time, I know everybody wants to focus on conspiracies and secrets that are happening and underlying switches being flipped and stuff like that. But the reality is when these moments do happen for XRP or for the altcoins, as you can see, all these altcoins are going together. They're not going in some independent thing where it's like four that are doing anything. It's the whole market in general having an upward swing happening together. And it's nothing unusual to see XRP lag behind in that. But what is also not unusual is that it does most of its move all at once. And I think we have the conditions in the market for that to be able to happen. And you can, that's not just me being like, hey, I have a special indicator that I keep private and pay me and I will give you this secret indicator. I show you exactly how I look at everything on the market. You can see the exact same things that I see in the market when these are happening in here and what ended up happening in markets after that, right? You could see how the stochastic RSI has reached all the way back up, way out of the desert crossing, right? You see that back in here too, reaching way out of the desert crossing, getting into max strength happening in here. You see what happens when the MACD turns up, right? I said stochastic RSI, right? I didn't say MACD. Stochastic RSI, and then the MACD, you can see we have flipped. We're flipping green over here. You see what happens in situations like that when things can start get going. So you see all the same things that I see happening in here right now. So I think we're lined up conditionally for that to happen. And well, the big thing was Wyckoff accumulation lasting for so long. And what's real interesting about this thing too, and I need to put out an XRP video, hopefully I get it out today, but if not by today, then at least by tomorrow. Just structurally for a whole accumulation, even like this, that this actually even is, right, just capitulation, You could see the kind of accumulation schematics that happen down in here. And what happens in here is they're just a lot more softened, right? You get pretty dramatic in here. But then, all these same things, right? Bam, bam. And then the element that we keep talking about is that, right? How that is our standout. But when you look to the rest of the cryptocurrency market, like when you look to the altcoin market, we don't get that in the market, right? So what happens here? This is a 4-hour, 100% price rise after Ripple or SEC versus Ripple. The judge declares that XRP is not a security, right? And so, of course, there's a 4-hour huge pump, and we've gone into depths on this, and I'm not going to go crazy into it today. That this is just an anomaly on the chart, because where does it head back to? It heads back to where the rest of the market is, and it just continues accumulating. And if we had if we have the altcoin market overlaid in here, right? We don't get that, right? Everything still stays below, and it just continues to waddle throughout here. And so what happens is we just revisit back to our same lows that we were just currently at. And so my thoughts are that likely, without a news catalyst to happen in there, the market took itself right back to where it should have been. That's just where it would have been had we not had some extravagant news event occurring in here. And that we would have really just kind of rounded out in here, just like the rest of the altcoin market did. Happening in there. And then what we have now is we have this nice little throwback happening in here, as we have back in here. And I think we're on the verge, but I think it's going to not happen today, as the plagiarists have said, or in the next couple of days. I think we have time, and I think the market is going to digest what did happen yesterday, or what happened, yesterday. Let's see. Total 3 minus. There you go. And we need some good old-fashioned pessimism in here. You know what I mean? We need some people screaming. Right, so we're going to get through this narrative real quick. We're going to get through this ETF thing happening here. It looks like, if you think about it from right now, 1 week from today, we'll be in the thick of it. Right. So whether that happens today, tomorrow, the next day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it happens with all the ETF stuff, I think the answers have to happen by January 10th, which is next Wednesday. But that would mean a week from today, we're in the thick of it. Right. Whatever that narrative will be. So an exciting week ahead for sure. Okay. All right. Enough with that. But again, nitpicking it all, I still stick with I don't even have my CME futures thing up here. That's not CME futures. I don't know why I keep calling it that. CME Group's report on... sorry, my computer's acting up. Anyway, the probabilities of there being a Fed rate hike, right? There you go. 93.3%. So we keep shifting towards them being paused still, it looks like. Every day when I check on this, it keeps shifting more and more towards them continuing to be paused. Let's go look at this. We are now at only 66% probability of them cutting in March. We're now down to 92% probability of them cutting in May. So we'll see how things go as we get to our meeting at the end of this month. We have a long ways to go, so I won't bombard you with talking about this too much, since it's such a long ways to get there, and you guys will just be Fed rate cut burnout by the time we get there. Okay, enough is enough. All right, $43,500 over here for Bitcoin. Green throughout the cryptocurrency market. XRP above 58 cents currently right now after slamming back into supports. A beautiful sight to see happening in there. Looking over there at the stock market, looks like we do have a green day in the stock market. Barely, though, on some of these. Okay, Dow Jones is up 106 points, which is 0.28%. The S&P is up 2 points, which is 0.04%, but the Nasdaq's still in the red, negative 52 points at negative 0.32%. Looking over there at stocks, leaders of the day, United Health, GE, Caterpillar, and Microsoft. Losers are Amazon, Apple, Ford, and Coinbase. Unable to catch a break, Coinbase. Why is Coinbase struggling if an ETF is going to be approved? Buy the rumor, sell the news. We'll see. NASDAQ 100 technology sector, again, the big struggling happening up in here as it's getting back near that all-time high. DXY 102.5, like I mentioned a couple of days ago. I do think that was the low of the DXY. I think that was it. I'll go ahead and make my prediction on the DXY, which is a struggle. DXY, ugh. This one can beat you down. We got this one. We got the 50% retracement only because that's the only retracement level that we've ever seen the DXY respond to in the thick of it. I do remember people. I'll never forget this one dude. we had this little poke up here on some little news. He's like, we're going to 120. But I do think if I had to guess, which of course I love to do that. If I had to guess on where I think DXY will head to, I think DXY will do something like this. Is that we're going to work our way back up in here, and then we're going to work our way back down in here. And this is the potential for markets to go absolutely wild. I don't know how long that will take. My suspicion would be a few months. But we're going to head back up to above 105 for the DXY, pull back on down, and then this is the end. This is the end of the fun. This is where game over. Okay? So, all right. That'll be, that's kind of how I imagine us playing out here for the DXY. Notice that retracement level did actually even match with this retracement level. That's funny. So there you go, a little more confluence on that. But that's kind of how my thoughts are. Again, if you want to know how crypto responded with the DXY back in 2021, here is the bottom of the DXY. Right here on January 7th. If you know, what day did Bitcoin break into its all-time high? December 16th. Bitcoin breaks into its all-time high, and the bull run really kicks off for the market all down here, right? This is really our whole bull run. So we fall all the way down here with the DXY, and nothing crazy is happening in crypto. I showed this the other day, in that, even when it had bottomed here on January 7th, I guess it actually bottomed right there on January 6th. Oh, this is a terrible chart. It will put you right here. So right here, the DXY had actually already bottomed. And we never saw anything lower than that again. So just kind of keep that in mind. Right. It's kind of how, so that's kind of how my thoughts are that, I think it's not going to go straight back up in a line, but I do think that was the bottom. So keeping that in mind with the DXY. As for silver and gold, struggle city over here. It looks like gold futures are slightly up, but gold spot slightly down $3.8 over there for gold. Silver is down 27 cents, just pummeled over there for silver. I might go add some to my stack soon. Platinum's down a little bit as well. Nothing crazy happening on DXY for that big of a move to be happening in metals, but we do see it. United Health, GE, Microsoft leaders, Amazon, Apple, Coinbase losers. All right, I think that kind of covers it so far. So cryptocurrency able to maintain the liquidation that happened yesterday. These were things that we were looking for to happen in there, is that we would just hold that minimum level that we were looking for a flash crash to happen at. And then we saw XRP be able to maintain it as well. It was able to hold 54 cents on top of that supportive level happening in there. And then recognizing those uncanny similarities to what we have seen after very long accumulations in here, and why this throws off the view of what it actually looks like, just because we had a news event happen in here. But the rest of the market didn't eliminate the news. There's what you have. So exciting to see this happening over here for XRP. It's going to be a big focus here on the YouTube channel moving forward. So there you go. Wow, Celestia up 26%, Aptos up 18% today. Bitcoin up to 43,569. What a beautiful Thursday. I woke up today and questioned if it was Friday. I'm like, oh, it might be Friday today. It is Thursday. So, all right, there we go. That is it. That's what we got going on for today, guys. Market's able to hold itself. XRP holds the 54.5 cents. You get to see what images look like in regards to what it would look like if we went soaring. Total 3, the altcoin market able to maintain itself, holds on top of the support levels happening in there. Just an overall, it looks like NDXT is up slightly today, but we just keep marching along. And I think just like that CoinDesk article says, retail investors do have the perception that the start of rate cuts is the beginning of an absolute bull run, but the history always shows the rate cuts are happening and the Fed pulls the trigger on doing actual rate cuts because there's something bad on the horizon. So keep that in mind. And that's really kind of what the outlook looks like for 2024. Excitement, craziness. Just what I just showed you with the DXY, how it even bottomed there in January of 2021 before the bull run truly kicked off for the cryptocurrency market. But it was only months after that, right? So that's still kind of how I'm looking at it. I think we have like this very exciting part of 2024, but it's not like 2023 where it was like, all right, man, how do we scoop up these lows? How do we buy these lows? How do we find those springs where everybody's capitulating and you can just kind of scoop these things up off the floor and rock bottom prices? But it becomes more of like really trying to pinpoint where's things going to go to and then fall apart. So we'll have, it's not like 2024, let's sit back and kick up our shoes because we're going up the whole year. I think we're going to go up this year. But I also think, we're going to hit max euphoria this year too. And we'll reverse this year too. So big year of 2024 is what my thoughts are. But okay, there you go. Stock market up. How you doing, S&P? S&P's up 2, NASDAQ down 50 something. Looks like, hey, Coinbase turning it around a little bit along with ARK. Let's see if the leaders have changed. Tesla, GE, and United Health and Coinbase are the leaders now, with Amazon, Apple, Ford, and Roblox being the losers of the morning. All right, there we go. Happy Green Day. Happy Thursday. We're only one day away from Friday, and we got some winners over there on the right side of the board. So let us go. Have I missed anything? We got to cover news. Private payrolls at $164,000 in December, beating expectations. The 10-year Treasury yield is approaching 4% again after strong jobs data. Dow futures tick higher as Wall Street tries to rebound from another losing session. Iran stuff, Trump's ballot stuff, bond sell-off, U.S. companies ramped up hiring in December. Apple hit with second downgrade this week as iPhone worries grow. Confidential, Jeff Epstein stuff. Okay. I do get it that a lot of these issues are important to a lot of people. And let's just reiterate that real quick. I know this type of stuff may have a lot of importance to a lot of people. I know this may have a lot of importance to a lot of people. I know this may have a lot of importance to a lot of people. But they're not important to these things, right? And so this channel is focused on this stuff. I try not to express opinions one way or another on any of those type of social issues. Of course, I have my own opinions, but I try not to express them here. Those are for other places and for other times. And I'm not here to attempt to influence you to believe one way or another when it comes to social, political, and moral issues and all that kind of stuff. And unless I deem it, really important, that I think it's important that I do it on the channel, which, as you should know, is very, very rare. Okay. We've already gone through Goldman Sachs eyeing Bitcoin ETF roll via BlackRock and Grayscale sources. Goldman Sachs is in talks to play the key role of being an authorized participant for BlackRock and Grayscale's Bitcoin ETFs if the SEC approves them, according to people, I'm guessing, familiar with the matter. All right. Here we go. Last news of the day. We're looking over here at Cointelegraph. They tend to have more over here on Cointelegraph than CoinDesk does. CoinDesk is pretty rough. All right, editor's choice. Bitcoin bull market metrics almost reset as Bitcoin price hovers at 43K. Largest Solana drainer community has over 6,000 members. Which gaming guild positioned itself best for the bull market? A gaming guild, huh? The right to a self-hosted wallet. Crypto laws Congress should pass in 2024. Total Capital proposes 6 ETFs that magnify spot Bitcoin ETF performance. You know what's always interesting about markets too, and I kind of talked about this a couple of days ago. The market has, it's always buy the rumor, sell the news, and it's always speculate on the news narrative coming out. What is the narrative going to be of excitement for Bitcoin after let's just say the ETF gets approved, right? What's the narrative going to be of excitement for Bitcoin after the ETF is approved, right? Then does everybody's attention go focus on now what about an Ethereum ETF? And does everybody start going, does the interest get lost for Bitcoin? Because you can only point to the halving so much, but you can actually, you can really actually disprove the halving as being the actual catalyst for prices to go up. It's very, very clear. It's broader markets that influence Bitcoin moving up. And so what is it really going to be to focus on? Or is it going to be this shift to different speculations on different ETFs to other places? So kind of keep a close eye on that if that trend starts emerging there, because this has been obviously a lot of speculation on Bitcoin. And then does everybody say, all right, that was cool, that was fun, the ETF's approved, done. Pay attention to it. 2023 recap, the yin and yang crypto year. Bitcoin ETF denial report did not cause an 8% Bitcoin price crash, right? So I don't remember what the name of this Matronix or something like that report. That's where all the Bitcoiners are pointing to say that's the cause. It's the classic price crashes. Go find a narrative. Nobody has heard of this place. What is the name of this thing? What is it called? Somebody knows the name of it. Some report written by some place, some dude who's got 888 followers. I think the entire company has Matrix port, right? Okay, look, how many times have I publicly said there's a chance that the Bitcoin ETF doesn't get approved? I have 250,000 subscribers on YouTube, 250,000 subscribers on Twitter. Nothing happens, right? Some dude with a 20,000 follower count on Twitter says, I might not get approved. And then everybody says, it's him. It was him. It's the classic price happens, liquidations happen. Now we have to find a justification because we all got blindsided by this, and it's not our fault. It's got to be something else. And it's it's that. See, we couldn't have seen that. It's totally that guy's fault. Go find the enemy, throw stones at him. It's his fault. It's a classic game. That had nothing to do with it. The Matrix port thing, it's just stupid. Straight up saying it, dumb. All right. Spot Bitcoin ETFs could be rejected if the SEC wants more time. Dude, they never do that. The SEC never wants more time. They're always very timely. It's impossible. Bitcoin miner clean Spark to launch in-house trading desk report. Okay. No. I told my wife this morning I'm not going to be spicy. It's Cramer's fault. See, it's not Cramer's fault. You know why it is, right? We've talked about this so many times before. You really think a guy can be that wrong? Do you really think a guy can be that wrong and have such a strong presence on national television and in financial media and be wrong like that all the time? No. So what is he doing? Who's he work for? You know what I mean? Come on. He's drawing in retail. He shook retail out. Get out. All my buddies are getting in. He's drawing you back in. That's his job. And it's really funny because Bitcoiners will be like, oh, Cramer's wrong. Inverse Cramer at the bottom. And then when he starts getting bullish at the top, yay, finally he's on board with us. And they don't see it. These are things I learned in 2017, of how strong, especially CNBC is at wrong footing you. the whole little crew of CNBC. They've got all their little, you got to think of like, they've got their characters that they have, right? Cramer is like their character. Kevin O'Leary is like their character, and embedding that trust of who they are and what they stand for. They have their television shows. You grow to trust, and then boom, every time people don't. Kevin O'Leary, right? In 2018 was the just anti-crypto guy at the bottom, anti-Ethereum, anti-Bitcoin. And when we were capitulating in November and December of 2018, Kevin O'Leary was like the protagonist, right? Is that that's the bad one, right? Antagonist? I think it's antagonist. He was the antagonist of crypto during the bottom. His role was to be the negative guy. YouTube videos, talks, TV, everything. And then what does he do when Bitcoin gets to $55,000? He puts the laser eyes on his profile, and all retail investors get distributed on then. Totally normal. And I say this, I put my tinfoil hat on, right? Put my tinfoil hat on, because obviously what evidence, I don't have any paperwork proving it. Right? I don't have any evidence proving it. I only have track records of watching charts. If you think for 1 second Jim Cramer is bad at his job, you're crazy. How would he be on TV? How would he still have all this stuff that he still does if he was bad at his job? Or he's perfect at his job. He's perfect. Should it be read as inverse? Probably. But does that mean he's wrong? Or there's another reason it's happening? That's my thoughts always. I say it's impossible. There's no way somebody with that kind of track record can stay on TV. There's no way that somebody with that kind of track record can have that big of a reach. Unless if there's a reason to do it. Right? So, and I'm telling you, man, there's King of the Hill episodes from like the early 2000s. There's Simpsons episodes from back in like the late 90s and early 2000s of like Peggy Hill making stock. Peggy Hill, Dale Gribble, Bill, right? They're all making stock picks based on what they're seeing on Mad Money with Jim Cramer. And they're constantly getting wrecked. And they're saying to themselves, how can this be possible? I do everything that he says and I get it wrong. I'm going to find it. Hold on. King of the Hill, Peggy, Dale, Bill, Jim Cramer. Let's see if we can find it. Okay, I'm not going to play it. Okay, so this one's from 2008, right? So this one is 16 years old. Hold on, I don't want to bring it up. Sorry, guys, this has obviously got diverted. I mean, where do we at in this thing? How far are we in? We're 37 minutes in. Your expectations should be pretty low of the show at this point. Wait, have I lost you? Are you guys still there? I hope I haven't lost you. No, you're still there. We're good. But it's just loading real slow. I can't tell if you get my thing is running so slow. Okay, forget it. Forget it. So hopefully you can hear me okay. This thing has like totally crumbled my computer at this point. There we go. I got it closed. Now I don't have to look at that anymore. Okay, cool. It's from 2008. If you're looking for it, so if you have Hulu, you can watch King of the Hill on Hulu. And the episode, it's called A Bill Full of Dollars is the name of the episode. And it's from season 6. And it's where Dale, Bill, and Peggy, and maybe even Min, they're trying to figure out how to be good investors in the market. And they resort to having to follow Bill around and watch him like eat potato chips. And they're like, this is what people actually like. And So they invest in potato chips and stuff like that. But they come off of that from trying to invest based on what Mad Money's Jim Cramer is telling them to do. And they kept getting wrecked over and over again by doing what Jim Cramer was telling them to do. And so then they resorted to like following Bill around and just investing whatever Bill buys at the grocery store. But the point of that being is, why would that go on for so long? Why would that go? That episode is 16 years old. Then there's a Simpsons episode that's similar to it. Why would that go on for so long if Cramer was actually bad at his job? Or is there another purpose, right? That's the only thing I can think of. It's season 13, episode 6? Okay, sorry. Yeah, that sounds about right. 2008, you'd think they'd be on season 13 by then. Of course, they don't call him Jim Cramer in the show, right? But it's obviously him. He's got the mad money. He's hitting all the buttons. He's doing it. Buy, sell. It's free on YouTube also. Okay. There you go. Okay. That's my Jim Cramer thing. So, Jim Cramer, bear the whole way up. Jim Cramer, Bitcoin is unstoppable at the very top. You think that's by accident, guys? You think that's by accident? You think he's bad? I really doubt it. I really, really doubt it. You can't be so consistently bad. Like, it just doesn't it just doesn't make sense to be that bad. You know what I mean? Like, not to have that many years of experience and to be that bad. Okay. All right. Stock market, how you doing? All right. S&P's up 10 points now. Dow's up 172. Finally, a little breathing room there for the stock market, or the Dow Jones at least, after a rough start to the year. Coinbase leading the way. There you go. Coinbase up $5, up 3.55%. Amazon, Apple, and Ford. It's funny on Ford. They got some good stuff today. As you can tell, news doesn't matter. I think they were up 7.5% on their sales. Didn't matter. But news, fundamentals. All right, there you go. I'm done. I'm done spicying it up. We're gonna hop into the chat here in just a second, because we're just kind of going all over the place. We're talking about King of the Hill and Cramer. All right, there you go. Green Day market holding after yesterday's chaos. It feels good to hold that. XRP looking gravy, holds the 54-cent level. All beautiful. And there you go. Heading into the new day as we get ready for Friday to kick in. I'm gonna start recording an XRP video today. The question just remains on whether or not it'll get released today. Tune in to find out. But all right, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. I'm going to hop into the chat. We'll probably just be goofing off for the next 15 minutes or so, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. But I hope you're doing okay. I hope you survived yesterday's flasher. And looks like today obviously is a little bit better. So there you go. All right, Andy Philpott, my brother, gifted 5 BCB memberships right out the gate, 3 minutes before the stream even started. Sir, thank you very much. Tobias Ha says, thanks for all you do. I dived into your course and I looked at Wyckoff accumulation. Is it possible the first secondary test is under the selling climax? Can you check Radix chart? It is a top 30 development activity and increased in FTD, but chart is sad. Yeah, so here's my problem with Radix. I'll just say this, right? Because I've looked into it too. It actually even used to be a little bit higher ranked on development activity. It was up to like 20. It was ranked like number 20 at one point, back when we really started diving into that sentiment development activity. The problem with Radix is I just suspect something smells funny about it. Because lots of major exchanges won't list it. Coinbase won't list it. Kraken won't list it. You have to go to those secondary, third tier exchanges to be able to get it. You got to go to places like MEXC and stuff like that. And like, you're getting pretty far down the sketchy hole of having to obtain something like that. So Radix, I'm not really sure on that, and I have dived into that and looked at that chart and found complications to it. But the concerning thing on it with me had a lot to do with. Wait, it's not RDX. What is it? Let me just type in Radix. Is that good? XRD. XRD USD. Right? So you have to go to Bitfinex. It's not even on Binance. Right? So that was a concern to me. Like, you really have to go to second and third tier exchanges to be able to get it. I didn't like that. What is this? This is 2023, right? But this isn't long enough. We can go back further. Right, so this one got carried away a little bit more, right? From 3.5 cents here in March all the way up to 15 cents. This is one I definitely considered, but it's one that I couldn't grab because I couldn't see it clear enough. It was one that I just couldn't do. So I don't own any of it. At one point, I did dabble into it, but it became, I found myself second guessing myself so much that I couldn't go with it. If I had to guess it in here, I would say this was the capitulation, which makes sense for the timing of when it occurs. November. This is the retrace, and then this is the reaccumulation. And that this thing likely is in reaccumulation that started right here. And pretty much everything else to be ignored. And if this thing does take off, I'd be looking for full extensions. Probably not even based off that. Like, if this thing actually can take off, but based more so on stuff over here. So if there's charts that actually go back further, wherever this peak is over here, back in here. But again, this was one that had me unsettled due to it not being listed on any first tier exchanges, all secondary and third tier exchanges for this one. So I didn't grab it. But it doesn't mean it's not ugly. Or it doesn't mean it's not accumulating and looks good. It could be. But it still may just be in here for a little while. I would probably look to the rest of the market and just hope the thing fires out of there at some point. But I don't see anything super clear. I mean, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It may, unfortunately, the low you'd be watching for is definitely all the way down here. But that's still another 25% down to go. I would think it wouldn't take out that low. It shouldn't. It shouldn't in this. It shouldn't go below here. Okay, 43,800 for Bitcoin. And so that actually means this isn't like a simple Wyckoff accumulation. Let me finish that question because you were asking about secondary tests and settling climaxes. That this isn't like one big Wyckoff. This is more of like contracting triangle, but we can't see further back. Let me see if I can pull it up on another chart. Like I said, guys, I don't own this asset, but it is, like you said, it's in the top 30 for development activity. But this is just a good exercise to be able to go in and look at assets. Ugh. Okay. This thing has clearly had a supply issue, you would think. So there you go. Where does it get back to, everybody? Where does it get back to? Right here in April. It goes to April of 2022. That's the struggle zone for it, right? It's just what we continuously keep seeing here. Let's check XRD market cap. Okay. Why would the market cap cut 90% there unless there's some misread happening in here? Oh, because we don't have, like, there's 2022 to 2023. We have like literally no data here for the market cap. Okay. Either way, I'd be watching that low over there. Like, if I was going to be stabbing at this thing at all for super mega stuff, I'd be watching the low over here from March of 2023. But I don't think this is a simple Wyckoff accumulation in here. I think this is more of contracting triangle where you have the big bull, the crash, the retrace, and then the reaccumulation, and that it would be in something like that right now. Okay, moving on. $43,983. Trying to poke $44,000 here live on the stream this morning. Nice green day over there in crypto. XRP 58.5. Chasing news. Hey, BCB, Happy New Year, man. Hope you have a good one. Could you explain why are you using schematic 1 and not 2? If using 2, I think we are in phase C. I've actually written threads about this. What we actually witnessed is we watched several assets do schematic 1 and several assets do schematic 2. So they all go through phase A, B, and C together identically. It's just in the final phase. So the only difference is between schematic 1 and schematic 2 is whether or not you have a spring. Let's see, do I have it on this chart? Here, I'll show you. Whether you have a spring or a last point of support. It's the only differences between schematic 1 and schematic 2. Right. Otherwise, everything's identical on them for phase A and B. It's just phase C on whether or not we have a spring or we have last point of support. So if we go through several assets, we will see the spring go lower. So like, we're two completely different examples. So like one, we could use Ethereum. So Ethereum, we can see last point of support, right? ABC, but like if you go to something like ICP, spring, right? So all Wyckoff accumulations, but we did witness in various places throughout the market, some did spring, some did last point of support. And so that's your differences between schematic 1 and schematic 2 is just phase C, whether or not we have last point of support or the spring. And when we were going through all of that, I was saying very clearly, it was like the very difficult part is knowing whether or not you are just in a creek that's going to spring, or if you're in a creek that's just a last point of support, and how difficult those are. And not only was it difficult, we saw different ones in different phases, in different places throughout the market, where it was only last point of support or it was spring. And if we look throughout the market, we see lots of those everywhere. Some of them being spring, some of them being, I've lost you. Dang, where were you? I don't know. You saw it. Last point of support for Ethereum and for the altcoin markets, right? Phase C, we're way beyond phase C, right? We technically be way beyond phase C, right? So phase C is the last point of support or spring, right? That would have been down here, right? This would have been your preliminary support, right? And it doesn't matter which schematic we use. Right, we use schematic 1 or schematic 2. I'm going to shrink these a little bit. Right, so the huge fall in here becomes your preliminary support, right? We fall, our preliminary support, and then boom, that's our selling climax, right? So when was our selling climax in this market? It was back in June. Right, this is where the big selling climax happens, and then you have your secondary test in phase B, right? And you could almost argue like this is spring or is this last point of support? We did have like this thingy right here. Could it be either one? But we would be beyond phase C, right? We would be beyond phase C. And that's pretty clear when you do look at things like we just showed over there, which would be like ICP, right? That phase C has already passed us by, right? So I hope that answers. That should have answered it. Thank you, Chasing News. Andy R., big fan. Many dumb crypto Twitter accounts I counter trade are saying sell the news on ETF. Any concern about dumb money selling the news on the ETF? I think more people are excited. You're going to have some people on one side, some people on the other side. It's never 100%, right? And I will say it's very difficult. It's very difficult to know, will it happen quickly or will it happen slowly? What if it is more so just like this, right? What's the one thing people don't expect? Sideways. What if it's neither? What if we just go sideways through it, right? Could be. The thing I'm not letting the narrative do is influence my thoughts that we're going to go to moon because of ETF. Just in no way does that. You can look, and I've shown it many times. All financial products of Bitcoin are launched at tops or bottoms. Like Bito, when is it launched? They launch it at the peak of the market, right? When were we just talking about where the selling climax is, right? We see the selling climax happens right here in Wyckoff accumulation, which means this is our preliminary support, right? This is our selling climax, right? Then we have secondary test in phase B. But this is our selling climax. So when is our selling climax in the market? It's right here in June 18th. Right? So they launch Bito, which is a Bitcoin ETF, people. That's a Bitcoin ETF. Kathy Wood just got out of Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and got into the Bito Bitcoin ETF. When does BTI, the ProShares short Bitcoin strategy ETF, when does that one get launched? Come on. It gets launched at the selling climax. They launch a financial product to short Bitcoin at the bottom. You can't make it up, people. You can't. There you go. When does it get launched? On the day of the selling climax. 1 day after, 2 days after. They launch, hey, you want to short Bitcoin? Here you go. At the bottom. Selling climax day. So we get Bito. Where are you? Why don't I see my stuff? Hey, would you like to buy the Bito ProShares Bitcoin ETF strategy? At the very top. Hey, would you like to short Bitcoin now that we're at the very bottom? Don't worry, guys. This ETF launch is totally different because it's spot. Because retail investors are very Bitcoin-centric and knowledgeable to say, I only own ETFs if it holds the physical, real Bitcoin. That's what truly matters to me. What makes it any different than either one of these other Bitcoin ETFs, which you can log into any of your accounts and you can go buy either one of these things. You can short either one of these things. BITI, which is short Bitcoin, BITO, which is long Bitcoin. Those ETFs are out right now. They get launched at the peak. Here you go. Long Bitcoin. Hey, here you go. At the selling climax, here, short Bitcoin. And so if you longed Bitcoin when they released this thing by buying this thing, you would have gotten wrecked. And then if you would have shorted Bitcoin by buying the release of the short Bitcoin ETF, which they launched at the bottom, right? So it's almost like these ETFs, they wait for them to get launched when there is maximum interest from retail for that specific direction at that specific time. Kind of like how Coinbase IPO'd on the day of the top. They had it all figured out. Here's maximum interest. We're IPOing today. They had it all. They had ready to go, man. So, figuring, it's all a guessing game for all of us on what would happen in the event of an ETF getting released. But the things we can do is we can at least try to get our brains right and say, well, what happens each time these ETFs for Bitcoin do get released? What is the end result? What have they been? The market has gone the opposite direction of the financial product, right? Also, Canada released a Bitcoin spot long ETF back in February. Nothing. They launched it way up here at the peak, right? So everybody's going to speculate what will happen. The only true historical, the only thing we can all observe at least is to say, well, what has happened each time this does happen? We know that they launched the Bitcoin long strategy ETF here. The market reverses. They launched the Bitcoin short strategy ETF here. The market reverses. So, right. What about running flat? What about just going flat, right? And I mean, that's, technically what the market did after that, the launch of that, right? So the thing launches, right? The short ETF, it still goes sideways for months, right? What happens here? It still goes sideways for quite a bit of a while. But that did not mean that the launch of that product increased the price significantly higher. It also did not mean the launch of the product made the price go down significantly higher. If anything, it was a form of distribution, right? Like launches, here's enough time to distribute, let go. Launches, here's enough time to distribute, let's go. Launches, here's enough time to distribute, good night. Right? So the actual launch of the actual product, what we actually saw in these things when the actual products launched, it did not mean price was negatively impacted or positively impacted the day of the actual launch. But it shows that the smart money people who are putting all these things together, they know there's maximum interest for that product when they release it. Is there maximum interest for ETFs? How many Bitcoiners are going to go out there when these things get launched and go say they just swapped some of their retirement accounts over there into it to support Bitcoin? A lot of them are. A lot of them are. You're going to see a ton of it on Twitter. In celebration of Bitcoin's ETF, I've swapped some of my 401k over to the Bitcoin ETF. You're going to watch a lot of that. But I don't think we have evidence to say that just because the product launches that day, that means the market reverses right away. Okay, that's enough rambling on that topic, but I think I kind of showed what the market has done in the event of ETF Bitcoin products being released. This is not the first Bitcoin ETF, but Bitcoiners who foam at the mouth about the best money and the hardest money that exists on the entire planet, the fact that it's going to have the word spot in it, that means it's going to be just utterly glorious. All right. Dutch Crypto 873. Brother, thank you very much, man. Very generous. Thank you. Hi, BCB. Happy New Year. Why is 4.2 on stock market super cycle so critical while crypto is going in overextension so often? Is it globalization, Fed central banks interference, not a reason to keep rising long term and skip the 1929 pattern? It's a different world now. Boy, that's so trying to attach a narrative and fundamental reasonings to it all that you just don't. We're all going to find out together on whether or not. Dang, I don't have it on here anymore. On whether or not it's going to or not going to. But what I do see all the time is when we get to these things, everybody wants to make the reasons for it. Not this time, right? Not this time. It won't. Do I know if it's going to reject there? No, of course not. But am I going to have to play some type of protection? You better believe I'm going to have to. I'm not going to bet. I'm not going to bet all long the market up there that we're going to break through it. No way. you know, there's going to be defensive plays. I'm going to increase my hedges, increase the shorts I have in the stock market. And if those things get blown out, let them get blown out. But I'm gonna Michael Berry it. Probably not Michael Berry it, right? Michael Berry, but I'm gonna take some shots at it. But no, I mean, Fed or central banks interference is not a reason to keep rising long term and skip 1929 pattern. It's a different world now. First of all, I don't think we're gonna do 1929. I don't think we're gonna have a 3-year crash in the stock market. I think it's going to take 20 or 30 years. I think it's going to be a long road for the stock market. And whether that's better or worse, I don't know. If it takes just a staggering long time to pull down, maybe in a best case scenario, like we've even seen this with Bitcoin, right? Like you just kind of get back down in here, right? And then maybe you get a bounce here, and this takes a long time, and then it rolls over, and this just takes a decade or two for something like that to play out. I think everybody does think, it's going to turn into the next 3 years are going to be the worst 3 years of our life. Just because of the wave counts and the structures of us getting up there, and like you're talking about passive flows from 401k contributors and the Fed trying to slow things down and everything like that, I don't think it's going to be a 3-year crash. Structurally, I don't see that. But definitely from overextension and just retail euphoria back in here. It's as much retail for euphoria as you can. I do not ever see retail euphoria getting higher than what we saw. And one of the specific reasons, well, here, let's do this. How to day trade. Google Trends. That peak is there in February of 2021. This peak right here, February of 2021. Is there ever going to be a time again where like every common pleb in the United States is going to have unlimited bazooka cannons of stimulus and extra money where they're getting paid more to stay at home and not work than to actually work? Is there ever going to be a time where they're going to have that? They're going to have all this free time to just blow money into the markets, and where you're going to see a movement the size of Wall Street bets and retail euphoria and stuff like that? That's the things you typically see at market tops, and that this is distribution. Where you're going to get all of that, I don't see it. But I do know your question is going to be a big question that a lot of people are going to have. And a lot of people are not going to want to believe it. And the narrative, whatever the narrative may be, if we do reach up here to the top, will likely be euphoric. Every top is marked with euphoria. Every bottom is marked with extreme pessimism. That's why it's always so difficult, and especially coming on the YouTube channel when I'm like, okay, I'm optimistic. And it's like, look around you, bro. Look how freaking gloom and doom it is out there. You're so stupid. It's too freaking bad out here. How can you be optimistic? And then up it goes. And then when we get up, it gets too optimistic, too euphoric. Okay, that's it. We're done. Like, oh my gosh, you know nothing, sir. But that is how you have to play this game. And I think everybody has recognized that. who's here now, if you are with the herd in the negativity, you get left behind. If you are with the herd at the peak, you get left holding the bag. You know it. You look around, all your friends, straight up, all your friends around you, the communities, everything, you're like, oh, if we're all in this together, we're all going to be okay. But that's not true. It's just not true. So I think retail is going to get euphoric. I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be fun. Will it extend above the 4.236? Sure. It could extend above it. And we go look at other things too. Like Bitcoin, it goes slightly above it too. Do I still have this open? Extend slightly above it, right? But we'll watch for signs, right? But no, I don't buy into the Fed stuff. I don't buy into narratives or them being able to save it or anything like that. How are you going to help? How are you going to save a deleveraging market? Like yesterday, okay, that's an example. It's something we haven't seen in the stock market since C19. And here's evidence that they can happen, that the deleveraging events can happen in the market, just like we saw in crypto in one day. Here it is over the course of 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Deleveraging happening, not just panic selling, but margin long, leverage, boom, break all the leverage, boom, break all the leverage, break all the leverage. These things can happen in the market. And it doesn't matter what the Fed does. They're not going to stop the computer algorithms from auto triggering. They're going to not stop accounts from getting liquidated and auto selling. That can't be stopped in a deleveraging event that happens. You can set, what did we see here? We saw the circuit breakers hit constantly, right? There can be circuit breakers that hit, but it doesn't stop the next day, right? It keeps going the next day. So I don't buy it. I don't buy it, right? It took all that Fed stuff to get us way up here. It took all that Fed stuff to get us way up here. So I'm not gonna fall for a trap of thinking this time is different, because that's what the question is. This time is different. Will it be different? Maybe, but I'm not going to count on it. I'm not going to bet on it, right? And it doesn't mean I sell 100%. I've been pretty clear about that too. It just means I take a lot off the table, because if it does shoot to the upside, do I want to be completely left behind? No. But if it falls down to the ground, do I want to have my whole bag in here and be crying? No, not that either. So it's finding that middle balance there of what can you handle in these areas, and maybe something really breaks and you see it and you see the real breakage happening. It's like, okay, that's it. And then, maybe more gets taken out after that. But not for me up here. That's it. But thank you, Dutch. JG, what's up, brother? What are your thoughts on KSM? The KSM XRP chart looks like an outperform XRP for a nice run. Top 3 developer, found it. Thanks. Yeah, I need to look more into KSM. So I actually had the sentiment guys on here, right? So KSM is Kusama, but it's an off branch of Polkadot. But Polkadot and Kusama, according to what Brian from Sentiment said, is that they share the same depository. So a lot of the active contributions that are happening in there between Kusama and Polkadot are sharing the same repository. So, yeah. But I'm definitely not an expert to be answering your questions for KSM. Do I think it could outperform? Ways you can look at KSM is look at the market cap. Do we have a market cap chart in here? No, let's do it here. So from a market cap wise, KSM is one of those ones. As you can see, there's the Wyckoff accumulation. There's the spring. April of 2022 is still much higher, right? So just to catch up to where XRP is, which I tried to show earlier this week, this is one of those coins that took a bigger beating, right? So to get back to the April levels, it still has like a 2x, 3x left in it in order to just get to those levels. And that would be just catching back up to the market, right? Until this market breaks and some type of K recovery happens, which I think will likely happen, is that we're going to see assets come back up, and then there's going to be a K recovery like we saw in 2021. Some go, some do not. And trying to figure out when that K has started and then trying to cut right away before things get too carried away, right? But yeah, Sama, there you go. Just the market cap, looking up there. It still has quite a bit of ways to go just to catch up to where the rest of the market is. $44,000 for Bitcoin. 32% up for Celestia. What a morning. Thank you, JG. JJ Jacob, are there any examples for assets that did years of accumulation like others lately for it only to go back to a retrace and rejecting there? No new all-time high. Yeah, definitely. Look through 2021. The whole market's littered with them. Definitely. JJ Jacob member for 7 months. Yeah, that happened for a lot of the market in 2021 in crypto. You can just go through all the assets in there. Four bet from Fourth Blind. It says, why am I still buying my 401k? So why are you still putting money into your 401k? The same reason most people do. It's just money they don't even think is there. Right? They get their paycheck every year. They get their paycheck every 2 weeks or every month, every half a month. They know how much money their paycheck is going to be. And they already know the amounts taken out for taxes, taken out for 401k, blah, blah, blah. So it's money they never even saw in the first place. They just are used to getting their paycheck and they budget their whole lives based on their paycheck and don't care. And you just passively invest in your 401k. Again, like 401ks aren't a bad thing by any means, especially if you have an employer match. If employers are matching 3% or 6%, that's like literally free money, right? So you pretty much already make a 100% return on your investment if your employer is matching. So it's not like it's a bad thing, right? In that regard. But for some people, they're really bad at managing money. So people get really emotional, and it's a super easy way to not have to manage anything at all, passively do it, and you're not even having to think about it. I mean, I'll never forget the guy who asked me, in which I told him, dude, you need to talk to a financial advisor, bro. After Michael, he sent me a message and asked if he should mortgage his house and go in on crypto after Michael Saylor had said, mortgage your house, mortgage your assets, mortgage your company, and buy Bitcoin at the peak. I'll never forget that. That's somebody was really inquiring about whether they should do that, which don't ever come to me with that. I have no answer for you on that. I don't know what your risk tolerance is. This is the most volatile asset class in the entire world. The entire world. The whole time I've been in it, it hasn't gotten better. It hasn't calmed down. It's still just as crazy as it's ever been. But 401ks, I mean, there's a lot of benefits to a 401k, especially if an employer is matching. Dennis Wayne, brother, with the big one, man. Thank you very much, Dennis. I believe the U.S. looks like the Weimar Republic. Also, a fiat currency lasts 35 years on average. USD became a fiat in 1971, which brings us to 2006. What happened right after 2006? The housing crash. Monetary base went exponential. Next crash will be short, but devastating. We'll see, right? In the end, as of right now, we are all speculating on what's going to happen, which is what markets constantly are speculating, right? In the end, the market will tell us what the true answer is. But the thing that we don't know right now, and mark my words, mark them, a narrative will come. Something will come. A reasoning, a justification, The picture will change. The story will change. Whatever it is, the picture we live in right now, the economic conditions we live in right now are all just a brief moment in time. And things will change. And the picture will be different. And I don't know what that narrative will be or what that picture will be either. But the haunting thing is that many times charts give us a advanced warning of them, and that narrative is going to change and that picture is going to change. And right now it says excitement, fun, crazy good times. But then it says the picture is going to change. And like if you look back to, for example, Great Financial Crisis, the picture was fine. Yes, Michael Berry noticed it way back here that things weren't going to be fine in the future. But for all the general public and Wall Street, everything looked fine. And then suddenly things didn't look fine. And suddenly things looked really, really bad. And that's just how quick things happen. And on these charts, they look quick, but there's a lot of time that elapses in here. Just from here, you're in May of 2007. In here, you're in May of 2008. Takes a whole year for that to happen. And then it all goes absolutely nuts. And that's enough time for things to change. Like, for example, with C19, right? And I'm definitely not saying we're having another C19, but how quick things changed, right? You go from January, where it's just kind of like a couple of videos on Twitter of like random people falling down in China, like suddenly falling and collapsing for no reason, almost like it was propaganda fake footage. And then there did seem to be a lot of propaganda fake footage. And then 2 months later, we're auto liquidating the whole market, right? Things can change really fast. And so the picture that we have right now, I don't try to pretend that I know what the picture and what things will look like in the future when it comes to the narrative or what is happening in the world or what the picture is going to look like. But I can say the charts would say something is coming. What that is, I don't know. We'll see, Dennis. Short-lived, man. I would rather have that than what I see. I would hope you would be right. Huang Win. But thank you. It's very generous, Dennis. I appreciate it, man. Huang Win says, thanks, BCB. Could you do HBAR market cap to price to see if the market cap of HBAR is fully retraced before the price? Thank you. I don't think the market cap is fully retraced. So you've gotten to the 382, right? April of 2022 is still higher. So about 50% higher would get you into April of 2022. Yeah, 50% or so. And you got about 75% for a full 702 retrace, and for a market cap breakout into all-time high, about 140%. There you go, brother. Boy, I'm going to struggle with this name. All due respect, I'm going to go for it. Denislav Chervenelikov. Happy New Year, backer. I want to ask you what you think about Caspa and Meme Grok. Some technical analysis. Thanks. You are awesome. I don't have any opinion. So Caspa never shows up in any of the developer activity for me, so it's off my radar. So it's something I don't follow. I don't know about that meme, so I'm not going to pull it up because I don't know what it is. But as for Caspa, it's just not on my radar. It's not something I'm trying. There's tens of thousands of assets in the market. I've kind of picked my strategy on things I'm going to focus on. And I've kind of outlined all those things in my newsletters that I've talked about. Those are the elements I'm going to be paying attention to. You know, maybe some dude out there is going to make 38 million X percentages by, you know, getting rug pulled on 50 meme coins, but having one that hits really hard. Maybe that's a strategy for somebody. It's not for me. That's not my thing. I'd rather just focus on other elements of the market. But as for Caspa, it just never shows up in my data. And it's one of those things I know that, like, I believe pumped early. I'll pull it up off the screen really quick. Okay, it's not on Binance. It's not on Kraken. It's not on Coinbase. So that's already concerning for me. It's also it's already done 3 full waves for like bull run. I mean, it's already been massive bull, right? So that's one of the ones that we talked about when it was like, one thing that's missing in this market is some type of asset that's gone on a run independently, right? And so there you go. There's one. Caspa has. But like, okay, look at the rest of the market and where the market is at. Now look at Caspa, up 8,000%. Anybody really going to buy that thing? There are people who are buying it. Oh, I missed the 8,000%. Don't worry, it's going to do 8,000% all over again. I doubt it. But anyway, it obviously isn't passing enough criteria of whatever's going on with this thing for Binance to feel like listing it, for Kraken to list it, or Coinbase to list it. So it's not on my radar. It's not, and especially I missed the boat. Whatever, right? The boat has been missed. I'm not going to try to make up for it and expect that it's going to keep going. It's just not something for me. Just not something for me. And if anything, it looks like it's already in like massive correction happening in here. This is what a typical correction looks like. It looks like, you peaked, you retraced, right? You have the little double bounce underneath the rally prior to capitulation. It's probably going to capitulate. How deep that is, I don't know, because this thing has gone silly high. It hasn't followed what the rest of the market was doing. It did something in its own independently. Congrats to anybody who rode this thing up. You crushed it. You killed it. But no, it's definitely something not for me. Not at this point. That's long gone. That's done. That's long gone, right? So it's not for me. Flying Sean, thank you, brother. Very generous. Yeah, you said that you were looking at high devs that have caught up to the market that haven't caught up. What's the thought if they jump while everything else is settling? Rotate, hold because the flash crash is now past us? Ah, man, you're looking for me to tell you what to do with your portfolio in rotations. You're going to be speculating as much as me on if one is going to take off while the other one sits still, right? Then what happens if the one that you swapped, what if the timing on that was wrong and it goes? You're kind of taking that bet on yourself. You're having to make a gamble, right? Will the ones that have already caught up back to mean chill out and wait for the rest of them to come back? If the rest of them come back, then right. I mean, that's an idea, right? Hey, we're already back to mean. Let's go back to the ones that are still really low. Voop, ride them back up. Do that thing all over and over and over again until the whole market's there, and then kind of get yourself positioned how you want to be positioned after that, right? Conceptually, that's the idea. But I don't have the answer for you if it will play out like that, right? I see what you're saying. I agree. That seems logical to me. But you're definitely phrasing it in to tell you what to do. So you're going to have to make that call, and maybe it'll work, right? Maybe it will. But maybe not, right? And you just got to kind of be prepared for that. What if the thing that you sold takes off and you swapped into something else? And that's always a risk, right? So then it always becomes in your own mind of how much am I willing to do it with? What am I willing to risk? Blah, blah, blah. And that's going to be a personal choice. But I think conceptually the idea makes logical sense as we have seen them catch up one by one by one. Will we see all of them do that? Hopefully. And, as we talked about with the flash crash yesterday, right? In the newsletter, we talked about the flash crash, expecting a flash crash to come. We've hit minimum requirements. But like I've talked about, there's still that lower level. And I don't have the answer for you 100% if that lower level isn't going to get hit, right? So your question is, the flash crash is now past. I think it could be, but there's a lower level down there. And we're going to have to wait for this thing to kind of settle for a second to tell us if we're going to go get it, right? But that's the minimum requirement to get it. Hopefully that is enough. All right, Mr. Nobody. Happy New Year, BCB. I know we look to market cap for extensions, but are you also expecting coins that just retrace to reverse back on market cap, not price? So like, here's one thing you can look at for Solana people. There's the Solana market cap. All the way back, above the 618, below 702. Everybody YOLO is, all retail investors are YOLO buying while FTX is distributing on them. Right. I don't know if that's the case, but you know, it's the market cap, right? So you can go look at Solana USD down here. Solana USD is not as far. Where is Solana USD? Much lower, but it happens to be in the April price levels. But as you can see, the market cap is all the way back into retracement levels. So once again, market cap seems to be giving a little bit of clue. So I wouldn't be ignoring market caps, especially just when you have this much time elapse. And we see like over the course of these years, you see so much things like I talked about in the newsletter, circulating supply inflation, right? Being mindful of circulating supply inflation. So yeah, I'm still paying very close attention to market caps. And with Bitcoin in particular, the 702 retracement for Bitcoin, how crazy is it? It is $1 trillion on the button. On the button, 1 trillion. $702, 1 trillion. The number that retail will lose their mind over, and the number that will make news headlines getting back to is the 702. Okay. So I'm paying very close attention to confluences with market cap charts, Mr. Nobody. Thank you, brother. First time BCB viewer, new member. I know it's not your first time. Welcome. Andreas Efstathu. Happy New Year, BCB. Anything? I don't know what that coin is. I'm going to Google it. If it's out of the top 200, bro, I can't cover it. Even out of the top 100, I'm not going to cover it. What? I don't even see, I don't know what that is, man. I'm looking it up on CoinMarketCap and I can't find it, dude. But thanks for the super chat. First time BCB viewer says, "Hey BCB, first time viewer here." Yeah, right. Have you ever considered using dark modes on charts? Feels like you're feels like you're in a dungeon or a basement. It's so cool. I'm gonna guess this is not Oscar Hernandez number 7. Which I don't think we have Eric here. I think Eric's traveling or doing something. I don't know what he's doing. But we need to address the elephant in the room that I have now called Eric Martinson. I have called him Eric Martinez, and I have called him Eric Hernandez on this channel multiple times. So that's his fault, not mine. Okay. Thank you, first time BCB viewer. Yes, as he knows, as he is not a first-time viewer, ever since the start of this channel, I've always been asked by various people to do it in dark mode, and he knows my response because he's not a first-time viewer. It's daytime. It's time to be awake. It is not time to go sleepy. It is not time to lay in bed. It is time to wake up and get to work. And we use white because we are not in a dungeon. We are not relaxing. We are working. And we put lights on because we work. Okay, that's the answer. Brother, thank you. I like your name. And I like that you know. You knew. Score You Jr. Would love your thoughts on this, whatever coin this is. It's done really well for me and haven't had anyone with your experience look at it yet. No. Yeah, I bet it's done really well for you, and you're hoping that it's 2,000 people watching looking at rank number 500 and something coin. Sorry, bro. I can't do that. You guys save your money, man. You know, to protect, I always have to explain this, to protect the people watching. I do occasionally get super chats, and people do it with these coins that are ranked 500, 600, 700. Just this week alone, I've had multiple super chats for rank 700 plus coins. Of course, these market caps, as the example in the last super chat, only has a $39 million market cap. Trying to get a lot of exposure on it. It provides more problems. I'm not here to help with that type of stuff. It may be innocent. It may be all innocence to act. Like you may be excited that you did well on something. It's way too difficult for me to be able to discern just by looking at a super chat whether or not somebody's being genuine or if somebody is trying to get a coin shown on the channel that is a very low market cap coin, rank number 700, 500, whatever it is. I do encourage you to save your money and not ask for those types of coins because I'm just going to be protective of the channel and not give low cap coins the publicity and exposure that I'm sure they would absolutely love to get. So this is just a protective thing for everybody. It's not me being a jerk towards the super chatter. It is totally me just protecting the channel. So thank you, brother. Good luck with that. But I'm sorry, I can't bring it up on here. Anthony Trujillo, come over to the dark mode side and hit the like button. Thank you, Anthony. I have not asked for likes today. And I have not asked for subscriptions. Hopefully today, if you've been enjoying yourself, I assume everybody is subscribed, but if you're not subscribed, hopefully I've earned your subscription today. From anything I've done along the way today, please subscribe. Crypto Prepper, member for 4 months. Don't forget to smooch that like button. Thanks, BCB, for all you do. Love you, brother. Crypto Prepper, my brother, member 4 months. Thank you, sir. Dutch Crypto 873, new member. Welcome. All right, here we go. I'm all caught up, people. I did it. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All right, there we go. We got a green day in the market after yesterday's chaos. Nice to see a couple of them with bigger numbers over here on the right side of the screen. Bitcoin sitting above $44,000 after the madness yesterday. Congrats on those who survived it and those who survived it with a level head. I'm going to go ahead and get through the wrap-up process of this at 1 hour and 38 minutes. Of course, guys, check out bcbacker.com to not only get 1 hour and 38 minutes from me, but over 11 hours. And if you're what you can do is you can watch this all day long until it does become nighttime and then really get bad because it's still bright mode and it's dark and you're still watching. Over 11 hours, 40 videos over here on bcbacker.com. And of course, check out my newsletter over here. I've been putting lots of work into this thing all year long. Of course, last couple of months, you guys have really enjoyed all that pretty much massive project that I undertook and put throughout the newsletters out in there with developer data, circulating supply inflation, and percentage drawdowns, and making a big entire case study on that for 2020's returns and the changes in the market and all that good stuff. But the market looking ahead for 2024 was released 4 days ago. It's available over there on blockchainbacker.substack.com. There are links to this, to the newsletter, and over here to BC Backer in the description of this live stream. So you click, I don't know what you do. You click view more or something like that, and then there it is. I don't know. And then you go and head on over and check it all out. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Right here at the end, we got Rob the Reaper. It was great meeting you at Consensus. Hope to see you again this year. I won't show you because it's only my first time here. Have a great one, bro. Appreciate you. Yeah. I'm going to try to make it to Consensus this year. I'm going to try. Anthony Trujillo gifted 5 BCB memberships. Anthony, brother, thank you. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it all up. Oh, I missed one. PTW saving the day. She says I missed one. I already got it. I got back to Rob. Rob, who were you, man? I met a lot of people at Consensus, but there was a couple people who were very memorable. I met this one guy who was a cop. When I met him, he gave me the best reaction out of anybody I've ever seen ever before. Ever. It was amazing. His jaw dropped. He hugged me. That was the coolest one yet. So, all right. Rob's not replying fast enough. Maybe on delay, maybe on lag. But okay. I think I got it. PTW, we good? We all good? I think we're good. All right, we're wrapping it up, guys. Check out Substack. Check out bcbacker.com. Have yourself an absolutely magnificent day after the market does have nice recovery happening over here after the chaos of what happened yesterday. Stock market, how are you doing before we head out for the day? You in here? 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 There you are. All indexes are in the green. Let's go. Let us go. Oh, you were doing the podcast. Rob. Okay. Yeah, I remember you guys too. For sure. You guys were a great reaction too. We talked for like 20 minutes. You guys were all very kind. You were one of the first few that recognized me. That was great. So, okay. I'm just kind of wasting time here at the end. Let's get through the ending of this thing. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice, and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Hey, PTW says, I'm 2 minutes behind on the video. Hey, I'm going to teach you guys a really quick trick real quick. There's a couple of you who have stayed behind before I've said the last final have a good one. If you ever find yourself behind on a video, go to playback speed and put yourself on 1.5x. You hear me talking a lot like this, and it'll be going really fast for maybe about a couple of minutes until finally you get back up to regular speed, and then the video, you're caught up to actually being live again. It's a really good trick to not miss anything and to catch back up really fast. Just play it on a higher playback speed. You'll still hear everything, and then finally it catches up and it gets back to regular mode. But okay, I've already done my outro, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. Have a good one.